Welcome back to the ZERT Coffee and Chaos podcast, a show where we talk about anything and everything relating to what it means to be a survivalist and a prepared individual in today's society. I'm your host, Chris Bartagone. On the show with me today, a new guest, an old friend, Jon Patton from the Gun Collective, TGC News for those that are in the know. Jon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. This is fun. I'm excited to keep catching up. We did a show together just a few days ago from the time of this recording, so it'll be fun to keep talking and see what this is all about.
Yeah, definitely. When you and I started talking about putting this together, it was like, do you keep yours at an hour? And I'm like, yeah, I try to keep mine at an hour, and it's apparent that from the show that you and I did on your podcast earlier this week, we could continue to go for longer. And every, and I normally have a co-host who's one of another friend, one of my instructors, Jamie Franks. He was on Top Shot.
I was going to say, why do I know that name?
Yeah, so he was on Top Shot. He was a competitive shooter for a while. He's been involved with the industry for a minute, and it's hard to make sure that we stay in an hour, and sometimes we go hour 10, hour 20.
Sure.
How long have you been doing this podcast?
So I mean, we originally launched it, I want to say like 2016, but it's been very sporadic over the years, and I'm trying to make a concerted effort to sort of bring it back. Like the other day when you and I recorded, I was doing a marathon. I did 4 shows in one day. I've got a couple more today, and I'm just trying to provide actual content and talk to as many interesting people as I can.
Great. So obviously, for all of you guys listening right now, Jon and I have known each other for quite a bit now.
Probably 10 years.
Yeah, close to 10 years. We've worked together in the past. As far as like, I worked for different manufacturers. Jon's always been doing this as long as I've known him with the Gun Collective, TGC News. So Jon, for those that are not in the know, why don't you give a little bit of the elevator pitch, but make it longer, on what the Gun Collective is and TGC News, because you said content that people want to hear about. So
sure. So the Gun Collective launched in June of 2015. I had been making YouTube videos about guns for about 3-4 years prior to that. And the intent with TGC was to create content that is more accessible and a little bit less long-winded than some content creators can be. I pride myself on being able to take complicated subjects and break them down in ways that are very easy to digest. That said, our flagship show is called TGC News. So it's a weekly news program that airs currently at 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays on YouTube, Facebook, and we do a 60-second version for Instagram. And it's really just whatever has happened in the gun industry in that past week. Try to cover it, break it down, make fun of people, especially FN and SIG. We love to make fun of them because the pricing and all that. There's jokes that keep going. And then I do reviews, and we've got a podcast, and I've also got another channel that's about my van build. There's a lot to this sort of ecosystem.
Awesome. Now, each episode is, well, I think it's roughly about 20 minutes ish. 20.
I try to keep it below 15. I try.
Okay. So I think I've seen a couple that have maybe gone a little bit longer.
Yeah. There's some.
Right. But it's part of it. So anybody who's listening now that is looking for it, is it TGC News on YouTube, or is there?
You can just search for TGC News. You can search for the Gun Collective. You could probably get there by searching for Jon Patton. I've not tried that, but we tag my name in all the stuff, so that's very possible.
Got it. Awesome.
Just look for loud, shouty guy.
That is good. And it's funny that you did the 60-second review for Instagram, because I mean, you don't get much longer, and then I guess after that it becomes a reel, right? Like if it's longer than 60 cents.
The whole thing was we were putting out the long form on Instagram, and the viewership wasn't amazing. And I'm like, how do we sort of tailor this for Instagram? I was like, I bet I can do this whole thing in 60 seconds. And I figured out how to get the point across and just blast through it. and it seems to be cool. People seem to love it. I mean, hell, I was at the range, I don't know, a few weeks back, and we belong to it's a private club here in Pennsylvania. It's a big club, but it's private. And coming down the road behind the pistol range, I hear 60-second gun news, and I was like, "What the fuck? How has this happened?
Oh,
How?"
that's funny.
Like, that's the thing, when people see me in public or whatever, when on the occasion that I run into another gun guy that has seen TGC, that's what they go to. It's always 60-second gun news. Like,
Oh,
hell
that's
yeah,
pretty
that's
awesome,
great.
though, man.
It's
That is
it's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. Up in New Hampshire, you talking about, just being recognized. Obviously, we see that today on the show, I am rocking the ZERT Death Blossom party shirt.
I like that.
So yeah,
Is that an
I'm a
official ZERT shirt?
it is. It really is. Yeah, we had them made last summer. And they sold really, really well. We brought some back in. I have a new design that's being worked on, and we'll eventually get it out there. But you know, I think when I don't know if it was you, again, I've done a few podcasts this week too, so all conversations are running together. But we
Yep.
talked about like your introduction into the firearms world. It's like tactical Timmy outfits, and oh yeah, it was with you with the Vertex pants, the
Yeah,
cargos,
we're talking about
and
that.
right, and I like these. I like this look. I like it. It's just, I mean, I wore something like this on the range a couple weeks ago, and it caught its fair share of rizzing, but at the end of the day, I didn't mind it. Like it was comfortable. I was cooler. I was in Florida. So, but with that being said, ZERT is a very recognizable brand, and having members
Right.
all across the country. Maybe a month and a half ago, I get a text message from Jack, who runs Granite State Indoor Range up in New Hampshire.
Oh yeah.
And he sends me a picture, and it's a ZERT member, and they've got the ZERT patch on their sleeve. He's like, "You fuckers are everywhere," and I was like, I mean, I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. And then what's even funnier is I posted that picture on social media, and then the member made a comment. It's like, yeah, that was me. I was up getting all the toys up there. So
that's awesome.
It's cool that you get noticed while you're out there. That's one of the things. I mean, you've been well, let me ask the question before I continue on with the phrase. Do you consider yourself a industry influencer?
I mean, yeah, sure. I'm not one of the types that gets offended by the term influencers. There's a lot of guys that are, "Oh, I'm not an influencer." Shut up. You are. Shut up. It's like
Yeah.
the core of that word is influence. Do you
Right.
have some? Yes. I think I lean more into the gun industry itself than most. I
Yeah.
think I have a really good bead on what's happening in the industry. So to
Yeah.
answer your question, yeah, I guess so.
So I mean and I think that's a very important and valid piece. Like if you get that name, and whether you give yourself the name or other people around you, like, oh, did you that, welcome to this influencer convention, and you get
Sure.
invited, then you are that. And if you influence somebody's decision on either looking at something a little bit differently, buying something that they wouldn't have bought, then I mean it fits.
Right.
Um
Right.
and Aaron Cowan from Sage Dynamics, he probably doesn't consider himself an influencer. He's a trainer, and that's what he does. But I have gone to watch his videos on Red Dot Optics more times than I care to count when looking to buy something. And I think that's what's important about some of the content creators out there that are in that influencer bracket.
I think the issue comes from, douchebag dance off type people that provide zero value, that call themselves influencers and get these like weird ego and arrogance issues going on. I think that's where the negative connotation comes from. But I mean, at the core of what the word is,
Right.
do you have influence? I prefer content creator, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. People are
Yeah.
gonna call people like me that term, and whatever.
Sure. But I mean, you've been around long enough. And if I were to sit here and ask this question, which I'm about to ask this question, if we go back to the origin of quote unquote influencer, or content creator,
Mhm.
and we look at that model that you just said, that weird dance off, whatever, who would be the first person that you think was deemed that, but was just not, like, it was just a gun bunny?
Oh, Jesus, I don't know. Like, in our industry, you mean?
Yeah, well, I can't, and the
Shit,
reason I'm asking is because I
I don't
can't remember her
know.
name, but I have the blonde, and her, I think her famous picture was like she was on the floor in
Oh,
with like a
you're
firearm.
very likely talking about Leah Speed.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. I have
That's
a weird thing, like, I have weird recollection of stuff like that.
that's it.
So she was an sort of an anomaly because she came in, had all these crazy guns. Everybody's like, "Where do these guns come from?" She says she's a nurse, and, she's scantily clad, and people are paying her gobs of money to promote products, and then realizing that there is no value in stuff like that. That
Right.
was a weird time. That was, I
Yeah, it
mean,
was.
I want to say that was like 2016, 2017, maybe,
Yeah,
something like
probably
that.
right around there. But, I mean, and the reason I'm kind of bringing this up is because we didn't really touch on this. I kind of knew that I wanted to do a podcast with you, and I also want to do one with formerly known as Johnny Drama. I don't know what he's going by these days.
I think he just goes by Johnny B.
Johnny Babe. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he had a podcast, and like we said, we're on the same firearms radio network, so I can see some of the topics that are out there, and I think one of the topics I think that you and him did was something about social media influencing being dead or something like that, or
Oh,
there was a
we talked
top.
about the future of,
That's it. That's it.
yeah, it was on the TGC podcast. We talked about the future of, I think it was gun influencers or something like that. I don't
Sure.
quite remember. It was a while back, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But being in that spot, and obviously having a social media arena with the ZERT network. Obviously, that's how our members connect to each other. It's how they stay in
right.
contact. Um, but it's also like I literally put up a picture the other day of a firearm being, just being displayed, and immediately Instagram, we can't share your content. It goes against our community guidelines. It's like, what we are so limited in what we do. Do you experience a lot of that with your content?
So I intentionally try to hide things that I know will get the content flagged. And what I
Yeah.
mean is like price tags. I've been trying to use other terminology for prices, like credits and shekels and all these, like, these terms that you would understand. That's money, but
Right.
I try to sort of avoid that sort of, because the core of it comes from, you're trying to sell guns. Like, they don't want that.
Right.
And that said, I try to sort of avoid that. It's not really always avoidable, so I do run into it. I mean, some of the posts that they've said we can't show this to people are just innocuous. It's just like a pose of a gun, somebody shooting, just nonsense.
Right.
Um, so it's inconsistent on their end, but yeah, I try to, like, navigate through that and not deal with it as much
Yeah.
as some guys do.
It is definitely a hurdle, and it is unfortunate, in our industry, in our space. It's a form of marketing, and it's a form of advertising, and we are handcuffed with
Oh
what we
yeah,
can do with it. And it's just, it's not fair at the end of the day, because I don't have any other options.
yeah. I actually, in that vein, I picked up a client that I'm trying to grow their social media. That's a thing that I do from time to time.
Okay.
So I have been. It's the first time I've done it in a very, very long time, trying to grow a brand from nothing, and it's really fascinating seeing how Instagram operates with a new account, and
Uh,
then what it will or will not show people. It's
is it more of a
really
challenge?
fascinating. Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
One of the other shows that I remember that you had, and I really, really liked it, because it provides the listener or the follower to understand things that they may not know but need to know, and that was the legal brief.
Sure.
Are
Yeah.
you still doing? Is that still happening with Adam, or is
No,
that
Adam's been done for actually kind of a while now.
okay?
That shows you the fact that you're still thinking about it, shows the impact that made in the
Oh yeah,
industry. I think there's a lot of guys that have stepped into that space, some more successfully than others. I got to give a shout out to Guns and Gadgets. He does a great job covering Second Amendment news.
yeah,
There are a lot of folks that have tried to emulate what we had going, and I don't think anybody's quite landed on it again. I've done some episodes like that where I host them instead of Adam because he's super freaking busy and just can't.
yeah.
But no, we haven't done that show in quite a while.
And so for those that aren't obviously aren't not aware of that show, and
Oh, sure.
I'm
So
sure you can still go find it, right?
yeah, oh yeah. The
Okay,
episodes are all still there. I mean, some of them are out of date, some are not.
right.
It's basically an up to date thing on what did we say? It was gun law myths and misinformation. That where I struggle on that word.
Yes, yeah. Just spell it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad that it's still there, but it was a great platform, or I'm sorry, a great show on this platform. If you're watching on YouTube, where you would get some, and this was obviously going back a few years, if there were myths out there about gun laws, but then it was also providing some information. I remember watching one of his videos, and it had to do uh, with a regulation on, I think it may have been pistol braces.
Oh,
Um,
we did. I mean, we did as much as we could. Everything from like how to measure an SBR and like
yes,
all these like very innocuous things or simple things that people just there. It wasn't really a good way to have it explained until that point. So we went ahead and did it. And the pistol brace thing has been going for so damn long now.
yeah,
On off. It's ATF is just trampling all over that company. But yeah.
it's yeah, it's horrible. Are you involved with who is it? FPC? Are you
I
watching
don't
what?
work directly with FPC. We haven't done that in quite a while. I don't. My issue with a lot of these sort of pro gun organizations is that
Mhm,
I don't 100% align with the way all of them work.
sure.
Um, I've seen things out of each and every one of them that is not my favorite. They have to raise money, but the tactics to do so I think, are a little bit shisty sometimes. I think Second Amendment Foundation has done the best job of avoiding that.
Okay.
But there are certain groups that look like, from my perspective, that they just soak up dollars and take advantage of people, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Obviously, that's I think that's been one of the major gripes with the NRA for the longest
Oh my
time is,
gosh.
it's just hey, renew, and then it's just
Yeah.
that nothing gets done.
You're like, I just renewed 2 weeks ago. Renew again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Sign up for the lifetime plus. What do
yeah.
you mean lifetime plus? Like,
Yeah, like I'm a lifetime NRA member,
yeah,
and I still get renewal things from time to
yeah.
time. I'm like,
It's
I'm
like
not renewing.
right. It's
Kiss
like
my ass.
your corpse can be a member
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's it's wild. Just going back to obviously the different podcasts out there. When I started this journey, some was like, "Oh, you should listen to a couple of these podcasts," and I listened to some of them. And it, for me, the challenge was always coming up with, well, and it still is a challenge, coming up with topics that you can easily talk about for an extended period of time, and
Mm.
then also obviously filtering some new topics in. Where do you get a lot of your a lot of your inspiration for the shows? I mean, is it something that just based off of like TGC news stuff, and you kind of establish further content with different guests, or
So my show's not really. It's not really meant to be very like newsy. The podcast is not meant to be like newsy. So I would much rather dig into the person, the brand,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a little bit about life, is it things like that, like a broader topic,
Yeah.
and less about the up-to-date stuff, because that's what TGC News is for.
Right.
You know, in my mind, if you and I are talking about a certain topic today, it may not be relevant by the time the episode comes out. And the way I've been recording, I don't want to like have news coming out 6 weeks after, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's no good.
Yeah.
So I try to just you know, dig into who the person is and that sort of thing, rather than be like, have you seen this bullshit? You know, that's not
Yeah.
what the
Okay.
podcast is for.
I like it when the guests set up the next questions. That's not, John. I mean, so TGC News, you've been around for a minute now. With
Yeah.
that, what got you into this? I mean, to this whole thing. Like, what made you do that? What made you come up with TGC News? Was it
So,
just because you didn't see you didn't see anything out there like it?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's at the core of it, yes. So I had a couple guys working for me at the time. I had just started the company, which is Patton Media and Consulting. I started that year, and it was, I actually was ready to like quit making content from my old channel. I was done. I did not want to keep doing it. I was in a bad mental space with it. And then this idea of like, this isn't reviews. Because at the time, the only thing out there for gun stuff was reviews. That's it.
Right.
And I was like, you know, the idea of what is now TGC News was drawn on a whiteboard about 5 feet from where I'm sitting. And it was, okay, what can go in there? What's in a normal news show? How do we kind of construct this? How do we structure it? What does it look like? You know, can it be super polished? And at the time, it was what I would say was fairly groundbreaking in the industry, because nobody had come at things from a really fast presentation standpoint. And now I would argue that most people do not have the balls to say some of the things that I say, to criticize major manufacturers on stuff that we all think,
Right.
you know, like
Yeah.
why the F is a Scar 17, $5,000 fucking dollars. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like these are basic, like all of us would be like, why is it so expensive? I don't know. Let's say it publicly, you know, like let's put the hive mind together a little bit. And TGC News has obviously evolved and changed and flexed and moved based on my whims and kind of what the audience is calling for. So it's never been like this very rigid structure, besides covering what's new in the industry.
That's awesome, man. I love that. You know, and yeah, you have put some of those wild statements, those bold statements out there. And you know, do you ever get an answer from them?
Sometimes. So I was at SIG in New Hampshire, and we were there at some VIP that we were there for Freedom Days. It was Kevin Dixie, myself, and Jared from Guns and Gadgets. So we were hanging out all day, and then we got invited to this like VIP reception. So Phil Strader is there, and for those that don't know, he's like head of the new products or some shit at SIG.
Yeah. Yep.
And I have made fun of the videos that he's in. I'm like, they filmed this shit on a fucking potato. Like, I don't know what this quality for a major company is pathetic. And I've made fun of him. I've made fun of their company. And one of the running gag with SIG is they don't put prices on their website, so I just make it up, which is really fun. Like, you know, here's a SIG 365, and it's a pallet of paper clips. I don't know why they would charge that. I just make shit up, right?
That's great.
So I was at SIG, and he and I had this brief exchange where it was like, oh, hey, Phil, so good to meet you, that sort of thing. And he's like, I know exactly who you are. Don't stop what you're doing. So he's like, I was like, well, why don't you put prices on the website? He's like, we're never going to do that. Just keep doing it because it's hilarious.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
So like they get it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit. And like I was on a meeting not long ago with somebody from Anderson Manufacturing, and the guy was like, I used to hate you. And I was like, why? He's like, because you made fun of us. I was like, well, you earned it. Like, sorry. Right. But like, that's how, I mean, Chris, you and I have known each other long enough. part of my being is just talking shit, going back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, let's have fun, poke fun at each other, and laugh. If we can't laugh at each other, then what the hell are we doing? So I have taken that part of my personality and just applied it to the gun industry.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, and it works. It works really well. I mean, you know, I think I think it was before I hit record on this, but I mean, we talked about the stuff on the internet. You know, I mean, it just people love to get on there and just go at it with other random people on the internet that they do not know, will never meet, have never had a conversation with, but their opinion doesn't align with theirs, with that person's, and it's just, no, you are evil because you don't think like me, and it's like,
You're a piece
my
of shit
God,
because you slightly disagree with me.
yeah, exactly. You need to do exactly what I want you to do in life and like exactly what I want. It's like, no, like that's the point. That's one of the best things about being individual human beings is we have our own thoughts and opinions on everything, and they may not align, but they do not need to create turmoil. It's just, I don't know, man. It's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, you could put a picture up of, again, we put a picture up of the Kimber, and I think we were talking about this on the other show, and just throw it out there and said, what does everybody think? And obviously people love to hate Kimber. And I, like, I didn't put the post up because I love or hate Kimber either way. I just knew that people would want to talk about it because they can. And somebody, one of the guys, one of my friends reached out to me last night. And he was like, friends don't let friends shoot Kimber. I was like, who's shooting a Kimber? I was like, that's not even part of it. I said, don't worry, Taurus is next.
Jeez.
Did you
Dude,
see that?
You want to see some polarizing shit, post the Taurus.
Yeah.
And then say you had a good experience with it. That'll add to the mix. We reviewed a bunch of Taurus guns, and like, I can't think, there was one, the man, that one caused some controversy, but we had one that sucked. The semi-auto guns have been excellent. The G3 series has been really good for us, and the TX22, the little rimfire pistol, has been awesome. The 856 executive grade, which is supposed to be their sort of thing that goes against the Performance Center from Smith & Wesson, we had one of those handmade quote-unquote guns yeet the yoke screw on the range. It just, like, you can see it in the video, it just comes out of the gun.
Oh my
and
God.
I was criticized for not properly maintaining the gun. The gun had less than 200 rounds in it. And people were like, you should have added Loctite. You should have taken the gun apart before. Like, no, you dumb fucks. That's not how this works.
No.
I'm not the QC department.
Right.
So I called, like, the thing that was crazy is we put this video out, right? And the gun had already gone back to Taurus. They claimed to have changed their manufacturing process to add Loctite to that screw. And then we got the gun back, and the video got published after that, right? So this is not like anything crazy. We gave them an opportunity to make it right. They made it right. We put the video out, and guys are like, what the hell? You didn't even ask Taurus. I'm like, no. It's in the fucking video. Watch more than like that one moment before you leave a comment.
Right. And they nope.
Yeah.
They're just going to run right to the keyboard.
Yeah. They just want to be angry. I can't believe you did this.
Dude, is that the blood orange?
This is Spindrift. What is this? Grapefruit.
Grapefruit.
The blood orange is very good, though.
They made, I saw that. I just got one of those. I bought a case of it last night. Good stuff, man. It's tough to find good drinks out there that, I mean, listen, hydrate, right? Everyone's like, hydrate, drink water. Water is boring.
Yeah,
it
gets old.
Boring. It gets old. I'm a coffee guy. I drink a lot of coffee. We have a ZERT blend. I know you have. Yeah, I know you have some coffee out there too.
Yeah, we do.
And I think everybody loves a good cup of coffee. I mean, I'm a big fan of the ZERT brand. It's a medium roast. I'm a dark roast guy. So
okay, all right.
I had to, I guess, appease the masses, and we did a poll out there, and all the members chose medium roast first. We'll eventually do a dark roast, but
do a little espresso.
Yeah. Gotta have some good coffee in your life.
Sure. Yeah.
So for all those that are listening and had listened to the Overland episode that we did a couple of weeks ago, it was partially inspired by Jon's build, and he's got a pretty awesome build. And I
Thank you.
I bet he's going to tell us a little bit about it.
You
And
bet. How much do you
yeah,
bet?
man, I bet a good $5.
You bet $5. I bet you 100. I won't.
Yeah, bet you do.
So,
But
yeah, I'm building a van. Yeah. I mean, what do you want to
so
know? I
well,
don't want to
want
like blabber.
I want yeah, no, I like, hey, listen, you and I both know that this is just kind of a nice relaxing conversation with a couple of boys that have known each other for a minute, but we can blab on for hours. But I guess my thing is, what got you into it? What made you get into it? And for me, the reason and I told you this the other day on your show, is the reason that I started to look at it is because, I mean, I love to go camping, and the evolution from tent camping, I think, is camper. And then from there, that opened up this wide path for me. And there was so many different sideways to go, like side paths to go down. And it was, van life. It was, overland campers versus, Winnebagos.
That's a
So
lot.
yeah, there is. So what got you into it? And this is kind of a continuation of, I think, where we left off on your show. So what got you into it?
So it's kind of a combination of things. It was actually my ex that wanted us to live in a tiny home. That was something that she was very adamant about, and I was very resistant to the idea. I was, no, I don't think so. Like, I need a big place, blah blah blah. I'm a big dude.
Okay.
Well, fast forward a little bit. After we split, I picked up the van, and I was originally going to get like a fifth wheel and a F450 and tow this, this crazy rig. Yep. And then I thought, man, I would really like to be able to go places and kind of get in and out a little bit easier and go a little bit more remote. And on top of that, if we learned anything from COVID, it was that airports do not give a flying fuck about you.
Right.
Nobody cares about your travel schedule. Nobody cares where you need to be. And if you can take that into your own hands, control it, bring your own gear, have more gear, like if you your guys are survivalists and
right.
I don't know if prepper is a negative term among that community or not.
No, not at all. Not at all.
There's a lot of that mindset that goes in tandem with having this, vehicle where you have all your gear. And I will have, it's not there yet, but I'll have off-grid power. I'll have fresh water on board. The intent is to have a incinerating toilet and have this small ecosystem with my own gear and just be able to kind of go anywhere. That's the sort of core of it.
Now, so the toilet will be in there. Can they do showers in those? Do they do showers in those?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that. So what you run into is the showers take up a ton of space.
Right.
That you use maybe when you're out on the road, maybe once every other day. Not everybody showers every day. Right. Especially if you're carrying your own water, you're going to blow through it.
Yeah.
So that's a concern, but to me, it's valuable space that can be used in another way.
Sure.
And I didn't want to have like that full floor to ceiling shower. There are other solutions. I will have a shower in my van, but it is a sort of fold up unit. And my intent is to have magnets in the ceiling so I can put up a curtain that goes with the vent fan. So the vent fan will be running right above me where I'm showering, and I'll just use the thing off the sink for my hot water, and I'll be good to go.
Okay. All right. And that worked. And then what about, and then is there some kind of drain type situation?
So the thing I'm going to use is like a basin. Like it's a thing you sort of put it together, and it's like a basin, and then you would just dump it. Yeah. But there are, you could have anything. You could put a floor pan, like a shower pan in the floor. You can have something out the back of the vehicle. A lot of guys like to do that in warmer climates.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to slice that pie.
So I think much like anything else, there's a Lego version of this van type build. Like you can literally outfit this thing from very basic, more cargo style, but obviously have all of the like the lights and all that, and figure out a sleeping area to
Sure.
setting up with a kitchenette and bedding and work area, I
Right.
suppose.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you can kinda do whatever the hell you want. There are companies that the only thing they do is build vans.
yeah,
You know, they'll go as custom. Some will go super duper crazy custom, like Benchmark or Outside Van. Those companies, they're high-end vehicle. They cost a lot of cash.
yeah,
However, you get what you pay for with those 2 in particular.
yeah,
So, like it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish and what kind of budget you want to throw at it. Like right now, my van has nothing in the back. It's empty. It's a cargo van. So there are times when I have driven across country and slept on an air mattress in the back of the van
yeah.
to
Hey,
get it done. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's doable.
right. I mean, you're not getting a hotel. You're not setting up a tent outside. I mean, you're contained. I don't think there's anything, um, nothing wrong with that. Like that's a pretty
Right.
good way to do it. Plus, you can bring more gear, of
Yeah.
course.
You can bring a ton of gear. I mean, when I did the trip across country to GunCon and I slept in the van and it was great. It was wonderful.
So when that was just recently, right?
That was back in June.
June. Okay, recent enough.
Yeah.
So, what's GunCon? Oh, GunCon, John.
So GunCon, I'll give you the smallest, shortest version of this. So it's an event where we bring together the industry, quote unquote influencers, content creators, and the
Okay.
public in ways that really haven't been done before. This past year, we had, I want to say, 50 companies sponsored the event. We sold 500 tickets. They sold out in a week. We brought in about 100 to 150 different influencers. And we also did Q&A panels. We did educational seminars. We had our own VIP range day. I feed everybody. So we brought in food trucks and the food was included in the ticket this year. I'm not 100% if we'll be able to do that again, but
Right.
yeah, like it's about bringing people together. And
Yeah,
we
that's pretty awesome.
the last 2 years were held at Brownells in Iowa. We're probably going to be looking elsewhere this year to just try and shake things up, but
Sure.
it's going to be rad. It's going to be rad.
It's always a challenge, I mean, ZERT did Outbreak Omega for a few years, and we talked about that a little bit on your show, and
Yeah, yeah.
ZERT actually took it over and acquired it from DPMS back in the day. And so it's in my kind of my toolbox of things that I still need to utilize. And it, what the challenge was, at first it was held in Michigan, and then I think they moved it to St. George, Utah for its final year. And the members of ZERT have been dying for Outbreak Omega 8. And I teased it earlier this year, and we went out to SHOT Show to kind of work with some companies to get some vendors on there, and it hasn't happened yet, and that's on me. I've put it out there that I will get
So
it
if you
done,
want to
and
see it, with people should harass you.
yes, pretty much people
Okay.
should harass me. um but I will be the first one to admit, like, I don't have the first clue on how to get one of these things done from cradle to grave. So do you find it challenging to figure out where you're going to do it next? I mean,
The
what
challenge
do
of where it's going to be is the biggest challenge.
right. Like you gotta
That's
have
the
a
biggest challenge.
space. Yeah.
Like
You gotta have, right.
you need like a very specific type of space for these events. Like especially if there's a range component,
Hmm.
that adds a boatload to what we're doing. With GunCon, that's a thing we do, and like a media only range day. And I'll explain why we don't do a public range day, because it's a fucking liability nightmare.
Yeah, I can
That's it,
imagine.
like a
Right.
100%. It's because insurance.
Right.
You got to
Right.
have that insured in case somebody gets hurt. And quite frankly, I can't afford it. I can't
Yeah.
afford to have a public
Yeah.
range day.
Yeah. That's a lot. And I'm sure it
And
goes down considerably when it's a media day.
well, if yeah, of course, because you have this understanding that most of these people have experience.
Right.
The other thing is public range days are awful. They're awful, 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 awful because you never get to shoot. You maybe shoot 5 rounds and you stand in line the rest of the day.
Yep. Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
you can't have unless there's a 200 companies, you can't have a public range day where it goes efficiently. It just doesn't work.
Right. Right. And I wasn't too involved with the Outbreak Omegas, but I know that I think the year that ZERT was involved
Mhm.
but didn't buy it, I think they had 600 people attend this thing. And it was this bay had steel targets and Texas Death Star, and you would go and you would line up to go shoot that. I mean, there's videos of it, and there's people waiting in line, the whole deal. Yeah, it is an undertaking to make it happen.
Yeah, there are a lot of aspects to it that not everybody thinks of. Like, you've got to have toilets for everybody. You've got
Yep,
to have, if it's in the warmer weather, you absolutely need to supply water. You need to have medical staff, RSOs, and all of these people need to be paid.
exactly.
This facility needs to be safe. Are we shooting safe things? Are the guns okay? Like, you need to make sure as the organizer that all of these boxes are checked, and that's only for a range day component. Like,
Right.
if there's more to it, then you've got more to deal with.
Exactly. Now, was this year one for GunCon
So
or
this past year was year 2.
year two?
The event did kind of come out of an event I used to do called the TGC panel. And
Okay.
that was a live stream. It eventually became a live stream thing, but it was an event that I did in the same city that NRA annual meeting was in, where we brought a panel of the top gun content creators together and just answered questions from the audience. And that grew over years to become what is now GunCon. And that's where I kind of learned what works, what doesn't work, what we need, what we don't need, and how to bring in the funding for it.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Now, yeah, I remember. And didn't the first one happen at an NRA show?
The first what?
First TGC panel. Didn't the
Yeah.
first one happen?
So the second one was probably the one you remember because that's the one everybody remembers. The first one was in like Louisville or something, maybe Nashville. I don't remember which one of those cities. And it was maybe 100 people in like a small hotel room. Year 2, we were in the NRA convention and it was
Yes.
standing room only.
Yep.
And at one point, we got interrupted by the secretary of the NRA. John Frazier came in and started screaming at us on the microphone and told us we had to stop because people. This was at the time Adam Kraut was running for NRA board, and they're like, "Well, yeah, vote for Kraut, right?" And the NRA saw that as a major threat, of course, and
Ooh.
their excuse for behaving as such was that they said we were electioneering, aka giving away stuff to get votes.
Oh my God.
Right, which
Wow.
was not the case. It was giving
No.
away stuff was part of the panel, but it was
Right.
not why, it wasn't like in exchange for votes. That was not the thing.
God.
And these shitbirds thought it was a good idea. And obviously the NRA has completely fucking spiraled.
Yes. Yes, they have. It, it, it's yeah, they sure have spiraled. Um, eh, we will just leave that
Yeah,
there
yeah,
for
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Um, all right. So you took the van out to GunCon.
yeah.
You're how long did that take you to drive?
I don't push that hard when I'm on the road because I know I need sleep.
Yeah.
I'm that to, like, I know I need a good amount of sleep to be able to continue on. So I think we did it in like 3 or 4 days, but we also stop along the way. Like I stopped in Ohio to hang out with my friends at Neomag. So we spent a
Oh,
whole day. We went and shot sporting clays. We hung out for a while. Like that's the way I like to travel across country is, I'll stop here, stop there. On the way home, I was just in Colorado for Overland Expo Mountain West. And on the way home, I stopped in Chicago, hung out with the guys from the gun camp. Like I always try to make it a point to find people along the way where I can break up my trip and have some fun.
yeah. Greg's good people, man.
I
Greg's
love
real good
Greg.
people. Yeah, he is. He's a good dude, man. I love seeing that company grow. Um, they've got some really cool stuff. If you're not aware of Neomag, definitely check those guys out if you are the everyday carry type and you want a awesome way to carry a spare mag or a second spare mag, depending on how you carry.
When does this go out, Chris?
This will go out next Thursday.
All right. I believe they are releasing a new product that I can talk about.
Oh,
and I'm going to check I'm going to check their social media to make sure that I'm not
jumping the gun.
Yeah. Like I don't want to get ahead of this.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, obviously you carry every day. I carry every day. Hopefully our ZERT members are carrying. And, you know, the one question, and we've talked about this on the show, somebody just reached out to me, a friend of mine who I met when I lived in Georgia. You know, she reached out to me, said, do you have anybody in Savannah that does training for a, you know, pretty new person who did not have good experience at the range because hot brass went down her shirt? I said, listen, yes, I do. Our state point of contact for, or one of the state point of contacts for ZERT Georgia, is a firearms instructor. She works for an ammo manufacturer that I may or may not have worked for, and also is in the preparedness survivalist space. I said, so reach out to her. So got her hooked up. But the follow-up question from that is, you know, well, what should I get, and you know, how should I carry it? And
oh boy,
I exactly, dude. How many times do you get that? Do you get it a lot? I mean,
not really.
No,
I don't think people look at me as the resource for new shooters. I think I'm more of like the enthusiast type that will ask me questions.
Yeah.
But like from time to time I'll get that, but it's such I usually just go here, go get this. I have like set answers.
I do too.
It's just easier that way.
Well, I mean, it is. And I tell everybody to go to the local range, rent a Glock 19, rent an M&P 2.0 and a P320, and see how they shoot and see which one you like and see which one feels comfortable. From there, we can kind of dial it down to, you know, the right model for your fit, how you want to carry. It's just always, but where I'm going with this is where Neomag, I mean, they have that alias system that is completely universal, a great little system. And what I like about it is my favorite holster company is Black Point Tactical.
I've got a couple of their things.
I have been using their dual point for so long. And I do love their little clips for their AWI or AI appendix carry belt clips, whatever. But what I like is that you can use their alias system and it's universal. So good stuff.
I have that sporadically throughout the house, and I'm trying to figure out a good location to mount an alias clip in the van.
Okay.
Because I would love to be able to, like on long drives, I would love to be able to take the holster off of me and mount it in the van.
Yeah, I like that.
But there are not a lot of great places to put it
in the van. That sucks.
Yeah, because there's no center console.
No.
So, and then like I couldn't mount it to the right side of the driver's seat because the e-brake is there. You know, like there's like considerations on like where can I access and where is safe to put it, and then where will it be seen less.
So, yeah, exactly. And then I'll tell you one of their coolest things, and it's something that I want to definitely pick up, is that because I'm a sweatpants kind of guy in the winter, like Sunday morning sweatpants, go to the grocery store, do my grocery shop, and I'm always carrying. When you're carrying something with sweatpants, it makes it a little bit of a challenge, short of a fanny pack, which I gotta say, Vertex has a pretty awesome fanny pack solution.
That's true.
For carrying.
They also have an adapter so you can blend the alias and a Vertex bag. Like they partner together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have a thing that you can use, but like the alias system in your holster, and then put it into one of the Vertex bags.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Also, I have promo codes for both companies.
You know, wow, it's weird. I was just going to ask you, could any of the members listening pick up some stuff and use a coupon code? Oh my
Indeed.
God, look at
Indeed.
that.
Look at that. This is
It's almost like we
dynamite.
scripted this.
Yeah,
My
we
God, who's the
fucking
producer
did.
of this
It
show?
was
Who's
yeah,
the
we're
producer? Get him
I don't
on.
know. Fire that fucking
Um,
guy. So the code for Vertex is just TGC, and you get at least 15% off of
awesome.
bags, apparel, all that. And the code for Neomag is TGC alias, and that will get you, I believe, a free clip. So you could like to add another clip to the system. So when you're buying an alias system, you can get an additional clip if you use the code TGC alias, which is super important because then you have versatility and blah 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 blah.
There you go, guys. If you are listening to the show, rewind 10 seconds, write that down. This is like that spot in school where the teacher reiterates this is important. Um, awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that you work with some amazing companies out there. One of the
Very
things
very
that
fortunate, man. I'm very
yeah,
fortunate.
and one of the things that ZERT has always offered as a benefit to its members is our affiliate vendors that we work with.
Sure.
Like the actually the company that helped me design this shirt is a company called Rad Palm, and he's a guy I've known for a good portion of my life, and he makes shirts like these as
Oh,
well.
that's
So
cool.
these party shirts. So ZERT members get a discount there. We have coupon codes with high vis sites,
Nice.
DMO knives. You remember DMO
Dude,
knives?
DMO knives are so freaking nice.
Yeah, they really are. They
They're
really
so
are.
nice. Like no bullshit. I don't care about your promo, but like they're fucking really nice knives.
Dude, they are. I mean, they're monsters too. Like I take that, like that is my camping knife. I mean, I have their gosh, I can't remember. I think it's called the maybe it's not the breacher. The breacher was the original one. So DMO
Okay.
knives, I think, has been uh sold and repurchased. So it
I
is
see.
new
I
owners
see.
that own the company. But they made me, I reached back out to them because their knives are great, and they are, they're not cheap knives. So when they were able to give a discount to the members, it was huge. But they made me one of their knives, and I mean, you can baton this thing through small pieces of wood for for kindling and whatnot. It's
Yeah.
just a very versatile knife. But working with those great companies and providing those extra little pieces to the members is important. Like Alpha Dog Arms does some great slide milling and some great optic cut work. And I think it's important to, share that, I guess, share the wealth, if you will, for lack of better terms. I think much like me, you have enjoyed working with smaller companies in the past, and it's great to be able to provide those companies guidance and help and whatnot. I mean, it's just that's the great part of this industry. It's the part that I love the most.
There's certainly a lot of fellowship and sort of this like brotherhood's not the right word, but I guess fellowship covers it. But like the ability to see a cool idea and then potentially help them turn that into a real business. I mean, dude, when Neomag and I got together, I'm not taking credit for their business. I'm saying they were still in a garage and now they've got a full-fledged, like a business where they're doing big partnerships and all this kind of stuff. To see them go from one end to where they're at now, it's incredible. It's
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
yeah. Um, were you able to talk about whatever they're dropping?
It's on their social media. I'll say that because I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. If something gets
Sure. That's
it
all right.
may or may not be an EDC belt. I'm just saying.
Okay, may or may not be. So if you are, this episode, we are obviously on Thursdays. The audio portion, the YouTube version, that's what I spent all morning doing, is the post there. But
Oh,
it's daunting. It's a daunting process. But we
it's
do
true.
remain undaunted here at ZERT. So um it, you know it, again, I look at that, I look down at the clock, and we sit here and we're like, we're closing in on our time together, and it's always, it always goes by fast.
Sure
And I could
does.
always, we could always sit here and spend a lot more time talking. What do you have coming up that you want listeners and people that are members of ZERT to know from coming out of the Gun Collective Is there anything important? Is there anything exciting?
I would really like it if the members of ZERT would just reach out, say hey to me. And then I would also like it if you guys made a like 10 to 30-second video posted on your own social media about why you're a member of ZERT, because I think the community you guys have is really cool and I would love to see that grow. So just do that favor for me, like 10, 30 seconds, a short little video, post it on your own social media about why you're a member of ZERT. That's it.
Awesome. That is great, man. And Zert's been around for a minute, for
Sure.
probably
Yeah.
a little bit longer than you and I have known each other. And, it gained a lot of traction back in the day. And I don't know if you remember Zert from back in the day, or not, but there was a lot of hype around it. And I had the opportunity to come on your show and it was awesome. And I hope the people that are staunch followers of the Gun Collective and TGC News took a look at it as well. And we're always interested in obviously gaining new members and linking up with those same like-minded people. To kind of close it out, earlier you mentioned prepper and you were like, I don't know if people like to consider themselves
Right.
that. What I mean, have you seen, like, I saw it too for a minute, like people kind of started to look at prepping as a not so favorable position to take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which and again,
That's the media's fault.
well, I think
Really, that's what it comes down to, because shows like Doomsday Prepper made those people look insane.
Right.
And that's kind of where that all stems from. And a lot of preppers look a lot like white trash. You know what I mean? like,
yeah.
there is that aspect to it. And that I think that had some negative connotations that got into people's brains. But that's why I asked that question, because I don't know if the term.
Yeah. And I don't know it either. I think that everyone still considers themselves a prepared individual or a prepper or a survivalist. But like, it's funny, the survivalism movement, it's been around for so long.
Ages. And then COVID taught everybody, oh shit, I need to be responsible for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And
everybody was like, whoa, I can't get this stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Suddenly.
John, let me ask you a final question.
All right. Lay it on me.
In your van.
42.
Pineapple. In your van, when you travel, do you have a full medical loadout?
Sure do.
Awesome. Have you taken the TCCC TACMed medical training?
I have not taken TCCC. I did. It's been a while. I should do a refresher. I took a class from Dark Angel.
Okay.
Years ago, and I could probably use a refresher on that. I think I actually might see if our buddy Sean from Firearms Radio Network can do maybe a TGC focus class, bring in some people, cool. Maybe get some ZERT members to come there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's good to ask. There's been times when I put this episode out and people that follow just me on social media, not ZERT, friends of mine, and they listen to the show. And I just remember my friend Kate reaching out to me going, holy shit. I listened to the show and realized how unprepared I am.
Yep.
And, then they start going down that rabbit hole. So, at the end of the day, you got to ask the question. And it's good to know that you are somewhat prepared for.
Yeah, somewhat. We're not going to say fully prepared, but somewhat prepared. I've got a trauma kit and like a full trauma kit, an IFAK, and a boo-boo kit. So I think I got it mostly covered. And if I don't know how to use something, hopefully I can locate somebody that does know how to use something.
There you go. It's part of a community. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, John, again, I really appreciate you joining me today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Man, this has been fun. I'm glad that we got to do it 2 days this week. Obviously, for those that are listening to today's show, we were on John's show earlier in the week.
I don't know. Probably won't come out until after this airs.
Yeah, that's okay. That's going to be pretty wild. So if you want to see what led to this, watch John's show when it comes out. But this is the fun part of that. So awesome, guys. Thank you again for listening. Be safe out there. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or you can watch on YouTube. But until next time, stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye.